A fairly common statistical task with unlabeled data is to try to divide the data into clusters. And we've sort of created this data clustering experiment app where we're putting to test some of our internal algorithms, where we're trying to define an optimal number of clusters. And we're seeing how humans, or, depending on the level of statistical training, either someone not familiar with the concept of clusters or someone, who's done quite a bit with them. And this application is sort of this experiment where we're collecting data. And here's how it works. You're given a set of plots. The plots look kind of like this. And in this case, this is a pretty easy example for most people, but you're supposed to guess the number of clusters. So in this case, I think most people would guess that there's roughly 2 clusters, but there's arguments to be made that this and this could be a separate cluster. So to begin the app, you sort of just need to fill out some demographic information. None of it's actually required, so you can leave anything blank. But if we fill it out, and you can type whatever you want for occupation and statistical training, and then you submit, and what happens is you get your first plot. Some of them will take a little bit longer to load than others because they have to present a lot of data. And then you're going to get 8 plots. So I'll just kind of go through. When you submit, you'll see at the bottom here, especially for some of the longer plots, there's a little loading bar. Could take up to maybe 10, 20 seconds to load the next one, depending on the plot. So then I guess again how many clusters I see, submit, and we'll go through this. There's about 8, so we're getting close to the end. There's certainly no right or wrong answer when you're doing this experiment. And in fact, the whole goal here is that we're trying to see sort of the variation that we might find when different people with different demographics perform the same experiment. And I think the ultimate goal from our perspective is we're really trying to tweak our automated algorithms to be more effective in automatically detecting the number of clusters. Because if we can do that, that's sort of a fairly unsolved problem. There's been some metrics that have been defined to do it, but depending on the situation are not always as useful or practical and may not always give answers that are more intuitive. So, and this is kind of a funny one, but we do that. And as soon as you submit, what happens is you get your results. You get a correlation between yourself and the computer, which if it's high, that means you're at least guessing like our algorithm's guessing. And then you get a computation of errors. So there are true numbers of clusters to each of these in the sense that we had labels that we weren't presenting. And so you can sort of see then for each of the images, what did you guess? What did four different algorithms actually guess? And then what is the actual true number of clusters for that data? So you see that for the 8 images. And then you sort of see it in a visual sense here, where you sort of have the computer, the user, and the truth being in the green, the user being the U in the blue, and the computer algorithms being the C's in red. That's the data clustering experiment app.